This is level K, list 2, and we're doing the day 1 page. And on this page, we're learning that the EA, the phonogram EA, can make a short et sound. So we've already learnt that it can make a long E sound, like in read, and it's the same letters that can make the et sound in red. So let's have a read of these words and highlight the EA in the words as we go. So we've got dead, d-ed, h-ed, head, l-ed, led, r-ed, red, b-r-ed, bread, th-r-ed, thread, sp-r-ed, spread, m-et-nt, meant, h-e, heavy, and then we've got instead, st-ed. Can you choose another colour now, please? And we're going to go back and highlight any other things that we can see happening in these words. So you know the TH sound makes the th sound. Here this is, we don't say meaned, we say meant, so this is irregular verb. Have E, the E sound on the end of a word is most commonly a Y. There's only about 10 words that end in EY, so unless you know it's an EY ending, use the Y for the E sound at the end of a word. Here we've got a 2-syllable word and we're going to split it between the N and the S. So not a lot of extra revision in this list, just a little bit, and just be aware of that T on the end there. Okay, so what do these words mean? So dead means when something's not alive anymore, and so if I don't water my plants, they will soon be dead. It means they're not alive anymore. Head could be the head on your body, or it could be the top of, or the top of something. So you could have the head of the school is the principal. He's the top person in the school. Lead means has 2 meanings. You could have a pencil, or when you take your dog for a walk. So you could have read, where you're actually reading a book, so you might say I read the book. Bread, where you cut up a loaf of bread to eat. It could be bread rolls too. Thread could be both a noun and a verb. So as a noun, it is like cotton, a cotton long strip of cotton that you can use to sew with, and thread means the actual thing of putting the cotton or the thread through the needle of through the eye of the needle, and then so you can use it to sew. So when you're putting it through that eye of the needle, it's called threading the needle. Spread means to put to evenly push things out onto something. So you might spread the peanut paste or Vegemite onto the bread, or you might spread out toys. It means to put them, spread them out over a space. Meant is when you mean to do something. Heavy is when something weighs a lot. It's very hard to carry. The opposite of heavy would be light. And instead, you might decide to do something, and then you might decide to do something else instead. Right, let's read these words, sound them, spell them, write them, and then check them. So have your little bit of cover paper ready, and let's go. So dead, d-e-d, 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 D-E-A-D, D-E-A-D, D-E-A-D. Cover it and write it, check it, write it, check it, write it, check it. And if it's wrong, go back, rub it out and write it again. This is level K, list 2, and we're doing the day 2 page. And here we're using EA for the short et sound. So we've got dead, head, lead, red, bread, thread, spread, meant, heavy, instead. So you can see I've highlighted the EA in all of these for you. You need to do that as well. Then choose another colour, and we're going to highlight some other things in these words. So you know the TH makes the th sound in thread, and usually we use just a Y on the end of a word for the long E sound. So fairly easy list for you. The hardest thing with this list is to remember that you probably really know EA for a long E sound. So now we're learning that it can also make a short et sound in all of these words. So just be careful how you read them. So let's have a look at what these words mean. Dead means something isn't alive anymore. A head is that thing on top of your neck. It's like the top part of our body. And it can also mean the top part of another thing too. Lead is like a metal, and you quite often, in the olden days, they used to use it in pencils as the lead to make a mark on the paper. Now, that could also be lead, so you'd have to read the sentence very carefully to make sure that you were saying it correctly, whether it be lead or lead. Same with read or read. We're using the EA in both of them for the short et sound and the long E sound. So if you're writing the word, you would, it makes it a lot easier because you know you're going to write the EA for either one. Read means when you look at words on a page and you read them, you say them in your head or out loud. Bread is a food that we eat that's made from flour. Thread could be a noun or a verb. We've already talked about that, where a thread can be like a fine, thin string made of cotton, quite often, and you can thread something. You can thread a needle, so it means you put that that piece of cotton through the eye of the needle. Spread means to place something out evenly. Meant means, we can't say meaned, I mean to do it, so it's an irregular verb. You would say, I meant to do it. So it changes from a long E sound to a short et sound. Mean, meant. Heavy comes from the word heave, so once again, we're changing it from a long E sound to a short et sound when we add the Y on the end. Heavy means something is very heavy to lift, it weighs a lot. Instead means in place of, or an alternate thing for you to think or do. Okay, let's go down here and look at filling in these sentences. So you've got to fill in the gaps with a list word. We sew with a needle, and you can work out what the missing words are in all of those. Write the list word after its antonym. Antonym means the opposite. So what's the opposite to alive? It has to be one of these words up here, opposite to light. Rewrite the list word, then match to the picture. That's fairly easy. You just have to write that word again and then draw a line to the picture. Down the bottom, we've got complete the expression. She knows what I'm thinking, so it's like she can something my mind. So we've got to choose one of these words up there to finish that expression. No matter how hard I tried, I couldn't understand it. It was like banging my something against a brick wall. Which word would best fit in there to finish both of those expressions? Okay, let's go back and read the word, sound the word, spell the word and write it. Okay, let's just do the first one as an example. Dead. D-E-A-D. Cover it and write it. Then check to make sure you've done it correctly. If you've made a mistake, don't forget to rub it out and start again. Okay, list 2, day 3, and we're looking at the EA, now making a short et sound. In previous lists you've learnt that EA can make a long E sound, but we also can use it for the short et sound. So we've got dead, head, lead, red, bread, thread, spread, meant, heavy, and instead. So I've highlighted the EA, making that et sound in all of those words, and I've also used a different colour to highlight some of the tricky parts of these words. So you know the th is made with the TH letters. Meant, we don't say I mean to do that, we say I meant to do it. So it's an irregular verb in that we're not doing the typical thing we usually do of adding ED to the end. We're actually changing it to a T at the end for past tense. Heavy, we know the E sound at the end of a word is, we commonly use a Y for. So there are thousands of words that end in Y for the E sound at the end of a word. And heavy comes from the word heave, so we're changing that long E sound to a short et sound in both of these words. Okay, when we go down here, we've got verb families, so we've got the base words written for you. You're adding the S here. Now, on adding the ing, you're not going to double the last letter in any of these words because we've got a 2-letter vowel before that final consonant. So we're not doubling any of those, the last letters before we add the ing. Now, past tense, you've got thread, threads, threading, threaded. But here, be careful of this one because you've got spread, spreads, spreading, spread. We don't say, I spreaded the peanut paste on my bread. You just say spread. Head, heads, etc. This is the other tricky one here. We could have the base word as read, reads, reading, and the past tense is read. So we're going from a long vowel sound here to a short vowel sound in the past tense. So it's an irregular verb there. Same with that mean to meant. You'll have that same change here, but you're adding the T on meant rather than the ED. Now, to form an adverb, we commonly add ly. We can have ly at the end of a word for other reasons, but commonly we use it to make an adverb. And I want you to change these words into adverbs and then write a sentence that shows that you know the meaning of that word. So we'd have deadly. Now, if you have a word ending in a Y and there's a consonant before it, so yes, heavy, we've got an ending in a Y and there's a consonant before it, we have to change the Y to an I before we add the ly. We can't go heavely. We still need that it sound there, so we go heavily. So we change that Y over. We can't leave the Y in there because we know in English words, wherever possible, we don't want a Y in the middle of a word, so we can change it here to an I. So we're going to do that. So it would be heavily. So you do a sentence something like, he fell heavily to the ground, something like that. Fill in the gap with the correct plural form. So plural means when we're saying more than one thing. So I have 2 dolls whose something have fallen off. You'd have to fill in the missing word. Be careful of these 2 here because we've got an alert there for you. Comparators and superlatives are when we add to the end of a word to make it mean more, and we add est to the end of a word to make it mean the most. So sometimes we might say more or most before the word, but in these ones we're going heavier, heaviest, deadlier, deadliest. Now these both end with a Y. We do have a consonant before the Y in both words, so that means before you add the ER, you're going to change the Y to an I and then add the ER. Here, you're going to do the same. You're going to go from heavy, heavier to heaviest, change the Y to an I before you add the EST. Same with deadly, deadlier, deadliest. You change the Y to an I before you add the EST because we have a consonant right before that Y. Now you can go back to the top and do your read it, sound it, spell it, cover it. So we've got dead, D-E-A-D, cover it and write it. And you can fill in the rest of that page on your own. This is level K, list 2, and we're doing the day 4. And here we've got the same diagraph but a different sound. So we might look the same, but we make different sounds. So we've got E, long E sound as in meat, and the short E sound as in bread. We've got the U as in food, and the O as in book. Ow as in cow, and O as in bow. So what you have to do down the bottom is colour the words to match the correct sound group. So you've got green for the long E sound in meat. So you have to go through the words and work out whether it's a long E sound or not. Make them all green. The next one you need pink for the oo as in food, and you've got spooky right there as one. You've got to find the rest of them. Ow, as in cow, is orange. So we've got ow and how right there, and there's lots more as well for you to find. Then we've got on the other side, O as in bow, and that is red. So you've got to find all of those words. There's one, you can find the rest. Blue is the short et sound as in bread and instead. And the last one is the ook sound as in book. And you've also got look right in the middle there, and there's lots of others as well. You can go through and highlight all of those words